How to never be bothered by anyone. Even if they try to hurt you, no one can truly hurt you unless you give them permission to. The moment you let someone control your emotions, you hand them your power. And that's where most people lose. Emotional control is real strength. Evy Poumpouras reminds us that when you stay calm, grounded, and unshaken, you become untouchable. People will test you, insult you, and try to get a reaction. But your silence and composure are your greatest shields. You can't control how others act, but you can control your response. Detach from the need to be liked or validated, because the minute you stop seeking approval, criticism loses its sting. What people say about you is often a reflection of their own pain and insecurity, not a mirror of your worth. Don't personalize anyone's negativity. Observe it, understand it, and let it pass without letting it live inside you. When someone tries to provoke you, respond with intellect, not emotion. Keep your voice calm, your face neutral, and your energy steady. Nothing disarms a toxic person faster than someone they cannot shake. Remember, silence is a strategy, not a weakness. The less you react, the more power you hold. You win by not playing their game. Protect your peace like it's your greatest asset, because it is. The real mastery is not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself so deeply that no one's words, opinions, or actions can disturb your inner balance. That's how you become untouchable, not by fighting noise, but by rising above it. How to never be bothered by anyone. Even if they try to hurt you, Evy Poumpouras, in life, you cannot control how people act, but you can always control how you react. Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and expert in emotional intelligence, teaches one of the most valuable lessons anyone can learn. How to never be bothered by anyone, even if they try to hurt you. The truth is, the power other people have over you is the power you give them through your emotions. The moment you allow someone to provoke, upset, or anger you, you hand them control of your peace. Real strength doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from mastering yourself so deeply that no one can disturb your inner calm. Every time you react to negativity, you validate it. Every time you stay calm, you disarm it. Emotional control is not coldness, it is discipline. It is knowing that your peace of mind is more valuable than any reaction. People will always project their insecurities, frustrations, and failures onto others. That's why Evy emphasizes that you must never take people's behavior personally. What others say or do is a reflection of their internal world, not yours. When someone criticizes you, gossips about you, or tries to humiliate you, remember that their behavior speaks about who they are, not about who you are. You can't stop others from throwing negativity your way, but you can decide not to absorb it. The most powerful people are not those who shout the loudest. They are the ones who stay composed when everyone else loses control. The ability to stay calm in chaos makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. Evy Poumpouras also teaches that external validation is the enemy of inner peace. Most people are bothered because they constantly seek approval, attention, or recognition. The need to be liked becomes a weakness that others can exploit. But when you detach your self-worth from other people's opinions, you become bulletproof. You no longer live by the praise or criticism of others. Instead, you stand firm on your own values, purpose, and confidence. People cannot manipulate someone who knows who they are. When you stop chasing validation, you begin living with true freedom. The moment you realize you owe no one an explanation for being yourself is the moment you reclaim your power. Another core principle Evy shares is to respond with intellect, not emotion. When people try to provoke or hurt you, they are often seeking a reaction, something to feed their ego or confirm their control over you. The smartest move is to give them nothing. Keep your responses short, factual, and calm. Maintain eye contact, keep your tone steady, and show that you are unaffected. This kind of calmness frustrates manipulators and confuses those who expect emotional chaos. You do not need to argue to prove your strength. Your composure already says everything. The more emotionally intelligent you are, the less reactive you become, and that is when you truly gain control. Finally, Evy reminds us of the silent power of non-reaction. Silence is not weakness, it is strategy. When you stop feeding energy to negativity, it fades. Some people thrive on chaos, drama, and emotional attention. The best response to such energy is none at all. Protect your peace like it's sacred. because it is. When you walk away, you show that your inner world matters more than their opinions. The person who can walk away calmly is always the one in control. Emotional maturity means understanding that not every comment deserves your attention, not every insult needs an answer, and not every situation requires your energy. True strength is quiet. It doesn't shout, it doesn't prove, it doesn't fight unnecessarily. It simply stands firm, calm, and unbothered. The real victory lies not in defeating others, but in mastering yourself so completely that no one's words, actions, or judgments can shake your inner foundation. That's how you become untouchable, not by fighting the noise of the world, but by rising above it. Evy Poumpouras teaches that when you control your emotions, you control your life. And once you understand that, no one can ever truly bother you again. How to stay calm when everything around you is falling apart. Inspired by Evy Poumpouras, staying calm when life falls apart is one of the hardest things a person can do. But it's also one of the most powerful. Evy Poumpouras, known for her strength and resilience as a former Secret Service agent, teaches that calmness is not a personality trait, it's a skill, a discipline, and a choice. When the world feels chaotic and unpredictable, your peace becomes your greatest form of protection. The ability to stay calm in the middle of emotional storms doesn't come from ignoring your feelings, but from mastering them. It's about taking control of your breathing, your thoughts, and your focus. Even when everything around you seems out of control. When you train yourself to remain centered in chaos, you become unshakable, no matter the circumstance. Evy reminds us that panic never solves problems, it only magnifies them. When we panic, our emotions take over logic, and our decisions come from fear instead of clarity. Calmness, on the other hand, is clarity. It's what allows you to see situations for what they are, instead of what your emotions make them appear to be. People often mistake calmness for weakness, but it's the opposite. It's the highest form of strength. It takes power to keep your composure when others lose theirs. When you are calm, you think better, act wiser, and make choices that protect your peace rather than destroy it. Calmness gives you an advantage in every situation, in arguments, conflicts, and even personal setbacks, because while others react, you respond. The foundation of staying calm is emotional self-awareness. Evy teaches that you cannot control what you don't understand. When you feel triggered, angry, or fearful, pause and identify what's really happening inside you. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is the real cause of my reaction? Most of the time, our emotional responses are not about the situation in front of us. They're connected to old wounds, fears, or insecurities. The key is not to suppress emotions but to manage them intelligently. Once you become aware of your emotional patterns, you stop being a slave to them. You start responding with intention instead of impulse. This awareness turns emotional chaos into emotional control. Another powerful principle Evy emphasizes is detachment from outcome. We often lose our calm because we try to control things we can't. People's opinions, external events, or unpredictable changes. The truth is, peace begins when control ends. You can't stop the storm, but you can stop yourself from being swept away by it. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means acceptance. It means focusing your energy on what's within your control, your mindset, effort, and attitude, and letting go of what isn't. Once you stop trying to control everything, life starts to feel lighter, and calmness comes naturally. You learn that peace is not something you find outside yourself, it's something you build within. Evy Poumpouras also reminds us that calmness is contagious. When you walk into a room of chaos and stay steady, you change the energy around you. People trust calm individuals because they radiate confidence and control. Whether in leadership, relationships, or personal challenges, your calmness becomes your silent authority. You don't need to prove anything when you're calm. Your presence speaks for itself. The person who can stay composed under pressure earns respect without demanding it. Finally, the secret to lasting calm is perspective. No matter what happens, remind yourself that everything is temporary. Pain, problems, and even chaos. Nothing lasts forever. This mindset helps you stay grounded and avoid overreacting to moments that will eventually pass. Life will always test you, but calmness allows you to pass those tests with grace. It helps you protect your energy, think clearly, and maintain dignity in difficult times. True calm is not about living without problems. It's about developing the strength to face them without losing yourself. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I can handle this." Evy Poumpouras teaches that calmness is your greatest weapon, your strongest shield, and your most powerful tool for survival. When you learn to master it, no chaos can shake you, no person can provoke you, and no storm can destroy your peace. Calmness is not weakness, it is wisdom in motion, strength in silence, and power under control. Why women over 40 go crazies and break families apart. The emotional truth behind the transformation. There comes a point in many women's lives, often around the age of 40, when something deep inside begins to shift. It's not madness, rebellion, or instability, but a powerful awakening that's often misunderstood by those around them. Society loves to label this phase as a midlife crisis, yet in reality it's a period of emotional reckoning. After years of giving, nurturing, sacrificing, and carrying silent burdens, many women begin to see life through a new lens. They start questioning the roles they've played, the relationships they've maintained, and the dreams they've buried. This internal questioning often looks like going crazy from the outside, but in truth, it's an act of rediscovery. As Evy Poumpouras and many other empowerment voices emphasize, this stage is not destruction, it's transformation. For years, women are conditioned to be caretakers, peacekeepers, and pleasers. They put others first, their families, partners, careers, and even society's expectations, while slowly forgetting who they are beneath all those roles. By the time a woman reaches her 40s, she often realizes she's been living a version of herself that pleases everyone except her. That realization can feel both liberating and terrifying. It's like waking up after decades of sleep and realizing you've been following a script that was never truly yours. This awakening triggers a need for change, to reclaim identity, independence, and self-respect. From the outside, others may see distance, frustration, or emotional withdrawal, but internally, it's a woman finally saying, "I cannot keep betraying myself just to keep everyone else comfortable." Evy Poumpouras often speaks about self-respect and emotional strength, principles that women in their 40s begin to truly embody. At this stage, women no longer want to be controlled by guilt, obligation, or fear. They've spent too long trying to be good by everyone else's definition, and now they crave authenticity. When a woman starts setting boundaries, speaking her truth, or prioritizing her peace, people who were used to her compliance may call her difficult, selfish, or crazy. But that's not craziness, that's self-awareness. It's a woman realizing her worth, finally understanding that she deserves the same attention, love, and respect she's always given to others. The shift may cause friction in relationships, but it's necessary. Growth always disturbs comfort zones, both hers and those of the people around her. Another factor that influences this transformation is emotional exhaustion. Many women carry years of emotional labor, the invisible effort of maintaining everyone else's happiness. When they reach their 40s, they simply can't keep doing it anymore. Their tolerance for disrespect, neglect, or imbalance fades away. They begin to seek peace, even if it means solitude. This is why some families feel shaken when a woman changes. She's no longer willing to tolerate what drains her. She starts saying no more often. She walks away from drama, stops over-explaining, and protects her energy. This isn't destruction, it's healing. It's a woman removing the weights that have kept her spirit heavy for too long. Evy Poumpouras' philosophy of emotional discipline fits perfectly here. Calm strength, quiet confidence, and detachment from unnecessary chaos. Women over 40 learn that peace is not found in being liked. It's found in being honest with yourself. They stop pretending. They stop playing small. They stop apologizing for wanting more. It's not about abandoning families, it's about redefining them from a place of balance and truth. When a woman heals herself, the entire family dynamic shifts. Sometimes painfully, but always toward growth. Those who truly love her will adapt. Those who only loved her compliance will fall away. The truth is, women over 40 don't go crazy. They wake up. They finally see that their value doesn't come from serving everyone else endlessly, but from honoring their own voice. This transformation may break old patterns, but it builds stronger foundations. It's not the end of family, it's the beginning of authenticity. It's a call for deeper respect, mutual growth, and emotional honesty. A woman who learns to prioritize her peace doesn't destroy, she rebuilds. She becomes stronger, freer, and more aligned with her truth. So when people say women over 40 go crazy, what they're really witnessing is the courage it takes to stop pretending and start living. Detach and you'll never lose control again, mastering emotional power like Evy Poumpouras. The moment you learn to control your emotions, you stop being controlled by others. Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and an expert in human behavior, teaches that emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings, it's about mastering them so that no one can manipulate, provoke, or destabilize you. Most people live reactively, they respond to insults, criticism, and pressure with immediate emotion. But those who learn the art of control understand that power lies in restraint. The calmer you stay when others try to trigger you, the more dominance you hold over any situation. To never lose control again, you must build inner strength, emotional discipline, and mental clarity, 3 traits that define truly powerful people. Evie often says that emotions are like waves. They come and go, but if you chase every one of them, you'll drown. The key is to become the observer of your emotions, not their slave. When someone insults you, attacks your character, or tries to push your buttons, take a pause before reacting. That pause is your power. Most people speak or act before thinking, and that's when they lose their authority. Emotional control is not coldness, it's intelligence. It's the understanding that not every situation deserves your energy, and not every person deserves your reaction. The person who can remain steady while others are chaotic naturally becomes the most influential one in the room. To never lose control again, you must first understand what triggers you. Everyone has emotional buttons, certain words, tones, or behaviors that set them off. Evy Poumpouras teaches that identifying these triggers is the first step to mastering them. When you know what provokes you, you can prepare for it. You start anticipating emotional traps and no longer fall for them. People who try to manipulate you lose their power when they realize they can't affect your state of mind. Emotional control makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is one of the most effective psychological defenses. If people can't read your emotions, they can't manipulate your behavior. Another key to never losing control is shifting from reaction to response. Reactions come from emotion. Responses come from reason. Evie explains that calmness is your greatest form of defense because it allows you to think strategically instead of emotionally. When you stay calm, you see the bigger picture, understand motives, and maintain control over outcomes. In high-stakes environments, whether it's personal conflict or professional pressure, emotional control earns respect. People naturally trust those who stay calm under stress because calmness signals confidence and leadership. You don't have to raise your voice or prove your strength. Your silence and stability already communicate power. However, emotional control doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means managing them with awareness. Suppressing emotions can create internal chaos, but managing them builds resilience. When you feel anger, frustration, or fear rising, take a step back and focus on your breath. Breathing reconnects you to the present moment and stops you from reacting impulsively. Evie often says, control your breathing, and you control your body. Control your body, and you control your mind. This technique, used by Secret Service agents and elite professionals, is a proven way to maintain focus under pressure. When your body is calm, your mind follows, and clarity always beats chaos. One of the most misunderstood aspects of control is silence. Silence doesn't mean submission. It means strategy. When you stop explaining, defending, or reacting emotionally, you take back your power. People can argue with your words, but they can't argue with your calm. In silence, you become unreadable. And being unreadable is one of the strongest positions you can hold. Evy Poumpouras calls this emotional armor. The ability to remain composed regardless of what happens around you. It's not about pretending nothing affects you. It's about deciding what's worth your reaction and what isn't. In the end, never losing control is not about being perfect. It's about being aware. You'll still feel anger, sadness, and disappointment, but you'll learn to manage those feelings with strength instead of surrendering to them. Emotional mastery is the foundation of confidence, leadership, and peace. When you can remain calm under pressure, nothing can shake you. You become centered, grounded, and powerful in ways most people can't understand. That's the essence of Evy Poumpouras' teaching. Real power is quiet, disciplined, and unbothered. When you master yourself, you master every situation, and you'll never lose control again. When women focus on themselves, everything changes. The power of silence and self-focus. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that constantly pouring into others while neglecting herself leads to emptiness. That moment, when she turns her focus inward, marks the beginning of her true transformation. Evy Poumpouras, known for her insights on strength, resilience, and emotional control, often speaks about the power of silence, self-awareness, and personal discipline. When a woman chooses to focus on herself, her peace, her growth, her boundaries, everything in her life begins to change. Her relationships shift, her confidence rises, and her energy becomes more grounded. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's self-respect. It's the act of reclaiming the time, peace, and purpose that the world has been freely taking from you. For years, many women are taught to give endlessly, to nurture, to fix, to support, and to care for everyone around them. While compassion is beautiful, constant self-sacrifice leads to emotional exhaustion. A woman who always gives and never receives eventually runs on empty. Evy Poumpouras reminds us that silence is power, and sometimes, silence means stepping back from chaos to listen to your own voice. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone and start understanding yourself deeply, you begin to build inner peace. That peace becomes a shield that protects you from emotional manipulation and unnecessary noise. When you redirect your energy inward, you stop seeking validation from others because your worth is no longer determined by their approval. You learn that peace is not found in pleasing people. It's found in honoring your truth. Focusing on yourself also means developing emotional discipline. One of Evy's most powerful lessons. When you stop reacting to every criticism, insult, or demand, you reclaim your emotional energy. Most people lose power because they spend it on the wrong things, defending themselves, explaining their choices, or trying to prove their value. But when a woman becomes silent and self-focused, she learns that not every comment deserves her response. Silence confuses people who expect you to chase approval. It teaches others that your energy is sacred and that access to it must be earned. Self-focus gives you emotional freedom because you no longer need to respond to everything that doesn't align with your peace. When a woman starts focusing on herself, her mindset changes. She begins to prioritize what truly matters: her mental health, her growth, her boundaries, and her happiness. She stops tolerating disrespect and emotional imbalance. She learns to say no without guilt because she finally understands that saying no to others often means saying yes to herself. This shift can be uncomfortable at first because people who benefited from her overgiving might call her distant or selfish. But Evy Poumpouras would argue that setting boundaries is not selfish, it's survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot lead a peaceful life while constantly pleasing others. Self-focus allows a woman to rebuild her identity, not as someone's partner, daughter, or friend, but as an individual who values herself first. Another profound effect of focusing on oneself is the clarity it brings. When you spend time in silence, away from gossip, conflict, and noise, you begin to hear your intuition clearly. You understand what you want and what no longer serves you. You stop chasing distractions and start building direction. This clarity becomes the foundation for strength. Evy often emphasizes that calmness and clarity go hand in hand. The quieter your mind becomes, the stronger your decisions become. When a woman is calm, she cannot be controlled. When she is clear, she cannot be deceived. Ultimately, when women focus on themselves, they don't become selfish. They become centered. They move differently, speak less, and observe more. Their silence becomes confidence, their solitude becomes strength, and their focus becomes purpose. They no longer chase attention because their peace becomes more valuable than validation. A self-focused woman radiates a different kind of energy, one that commands respect without demanding it. She no longer needs to prove her worth because she knows it. And as Evy Poumpouras teaches, the most powerful women are not the loudest, they are the most self-controlled, self-aware, and self-focused. So, when a woman chooses to turn inward, it's not the end of her story, it's the beginning of her rebirth. Her silence speaks volumes, her calmness intimidates chaos, and her self-focus rebuilds everything that once broke her. When women focus on themselves, everything around them changes, not because the world suddenly becomes better, but because they finally become whole within it.